I'm at the new Bern Battlefield, where they have a small battlefield park here that we're going to explore. So let's go see what we can find. As you enter the battlefield park, you'll find a marker that explains the battle, and then they have a pavilion with more displays, and then you can walk around the area and learn more about the battle. Your battlefield tour of the new Bern Battlefield will first take you to the pavilion, and then you'll come onto the parade ground and demonstration field. At the end of the field, they have a reconstructed trench line that you can examine. And I'm sure they have demonstrations here from time to time. Let's go down into these trenches and see what it would look like. All right, I'm at the trailhead to go on the walking trail, and the sign behind me will give you instructions on where to go. You'll find markers all along this path. Then a really nice, large display of the battlefield. Going down the path after reading the markers, down the path and across the bridge. Along the railroad tracks, you will find Redan number 2. And this is where I am now. And the works here are amazingly well preserved. They have this bridge that will take you across the swampy area to get to Redan number 1. Right, we're entering Redan number 1. This is a little further towards the Union line near the railroad tracks. This is the first position the Confederates had to retreat from. When you come to the battlefield, more action took place on the other side of these railroad tracks, but I do not suggest going over there. Just stay in the battlefield park. It's a lot safer than going over there. Well, after you've been to Redan number 1, it loops in the field in front of the Redan, so you can see where the Union Army had to charge across to get to it. As you walk around this battlefield park, a sign I saw back there said, "Watch out for snakes and poison ivy." Well, I haven't found either one yet. Let's hope I stay out of it. At the end of the trail behind Redan number 1, you'll find that the path comes to an end at the creek in the railroad tracks. But down that way, 1 mile, is the Confederate lines. This is the Union's goal, to turn the line. And 1 mile in that direction is the fort, Fort Thompson. At the end of the trail, in front of Redan number 1, is a critical spot in the battle. Here, Clark's U.S. forces attacked across the railroad tracks behind me towards the brickyard. This victory at the brickyard and turning the Confederate line was the critical point in the battle that rolled up the Confederate line and forced their retreat. You can see by the map at the trailhead that most of the battle took place on the other side of the railroad track and outside of the park's boundary. This swamp along the trail is what the Confederates were counting on to hold their positions. And now I've come to Redan 3, which is just on the other side of the bridge that we crossed over to Redan 1. These are the best preserved trench lines of the Confederacy. Redan number 3 has a good view of the swamp. Well, after walking the trail for a while, I got a little warm in that coat, so I took it off. Now behind me, you really see Redan number 3. But remember, when you come to a site like this, do not get off the path and climb on the earthworks. This destroys the earthworks, and that's what we don't want to do. We want to preserve them for future generations. They also have a very nice observation deck. You can go on and get a good view of the swamp. There's an observation deck right in front of Redan number 4. And you can see the ruins down there. And then you can look up and see the swamp in front of us. Here, the Confederates successfully turned back the attack because the swamp and the Redan were too much for them. I've got to give the New Bern Historical Society a big thumbs up. They put a lot of effort into preserving this space and building these bridges that go from one Redan to the other. This is an impressive feat to preserve this battlefield, and we should all thank them. Here we are at number 5. You can see this one is a bit smaller than some of the others, probably because of its position along the swamp. Here we are at number 6. This is a high ground. This is where they put artillery to defend this area, which makes a lot of sense. Here's the park boundary, so we cannot get to Redan 7, 8, and 9. But don't go back there. It's private property, so don't get caught trespassing. Now that we've seen Redan number 6, it's time to head back to the visitor center or the pavilion. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the tour of the battlefield of the Battle of New Bern. This was a critical battle in the Civil War, and this park helps preserve it, so I highly recommend coming to see it and filling in the pieces of our history. Until next time, see ya.